Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and today's video we will be ranking the English voice actresses for the Trix from Winx Club, which consists of Icy, Darcy, and Stormy. And of course, we will be starting out with the Trix's leader, Icy. And first will be number 5.
Aura of the ultimate power! We have nothing left to do here.
Alright, so at number 5, we have Erica Schroeder, who voiced Icy in season 7 and 8. Now, I do kind of like her in season 8, but I think the issue is with season 7 and season 8, they kind of have the opposite problems. In season 7, I think she sounds way too old, and I think a lot of the voice acting in the later seasons, especially in season 7 and 8, are supposed to reflect how the Winx have gotten older, but at the same time, or not just the Winx, but all the characters, but at the same time, they've kind of dumbed them down and made them appear younger, so I'm not really sure what their goal is here, but anyways, Icy in season 7 sounds way too old. I think in season 7, she was maybe like 24, according to the timeline, and, you know, she just sounds way too old, and she sounds just like an evil version of Farragonda. In season 8, though, the kind of opposite problem comes in, and she sounds a lot younger, but at the same time, she doesn't really sound like a villain. Like, season 8 was supposed to be, you know, this was supposed to be the Trix's, like, big comeback. Like, out of all of the comebacks they've had, this is supposed to be, like, the biggest one in a while because they were teaming back up with Valtor. And it just, the voice just didn't match what was going on, and I think that, especially with Icy's backstory, it would have made more of an impact if Icy still had that evil, you know, seductive voice that she usually has, and she just doesn't. I think it made it more of an impact if it was like that, rather than her having a kind of nice-ish persona the whole time in season 8. I do think she did really well at the end of season 8, where Icy presumably gives up being evil and helps the Winx. Which we still don't know what happened with that, because Winx has officially ended its original storyline, so, which is another video I'll make sometime soon. But yeah, and now moving on to number 4.
Soon we'll rip their stupid little fairy wings right off their bodies.
Stormy, Darcy, now's our chance.
If you want to make a big stink about it, sisters, there's only one way to solve this problem. Like this!
So at number 4, we have Karen Strassman, who voiced Icy in the movies. Now, I would have ranked her last, but I really, really liked her in Magical Adventure. I really liked her voice. It's just, in Secret of the Lost Kingdom, she only had one line at the very end, so I can't really judge it that much. And in, but Mystery of the Abyss was horrible. Like, she just sounded way too old, especially because the actual, like, Nick voice for her was so different than the Mystery of the Abyss one. I don't know why they didn't do the Nick voices from Mystery of the Abyss. It would have made more sense, but, because it was being, like, produced by Nickelodeon, so I don't know why, but whatever. Yeah, she would have been ranked last if it was for Magical Adventure. I really liked her evilness to her, the evilness to her voice, I really liked. Yeah, there's really not much to say about her. Now, moving on to number 3.
Nut says she jumped up and down, squeal breeze on this lovely afternoon. It makes me oh so happy. We just want your realm's magic treasures.
Alright, so number 3 is Lisa Ortiz from the 4Kids dub. Now, we will say I do like Lisa Ortiz as Icy better than I like her as Musa, because it's the same voice actress. At times, she did sound a little bit old, and I know it was supposed to be, like, in the 4Kids version, the witches were, like, way older than the Winx. I think in the original, like, in the Rye, like, original, Icy is 18, Darcy's 17, and Stormy's 16, and most of the Winx are 16, and Stella's 17. So she's supposed to be, like, the oldest out of all of them, and I understand how 4Kids was kind of helping to depict that, but at times it just didn't sound natural. But I do really like, I think Lisa does a really good job at the mean girl thing that 4Kids was going for, and I think she delivered the Icy's funny, like, savage lines really well. The only issue is that she didn't really, because, like, near the end of season 1, the Trix kind of went insane, and they said that multiple times, literally, in the show, how they've gone insane because of the power, and it just didn't come across like that. But I do really like Lisa Ortiz as Icy, but it's just not my favorite. Now moving on to number 2.
Oh, sneaks! I knew they'd try something. Sisters, we have guests. Bloom is prowling about our secret corridors, and she's not.
Friends look like they're having fun.
Valtor, what's wrong? Why so glum?
Alright, number 2 is Eleanor Noble from seasons 1 through 3 of the Cineloom dub, which is kind of the, like, official English dub for Winx. I really, really like her. I think in season 1, she did a really good job of kind of depicting that Icy was just more of a mean girl who was power hungry rather than just evil, because that kind of what in beginning, maybe like halfway through season 1, or the first half of season 1, that's just what kind of Icy was. She was definitely evil, but she wasn't like the kind of mad she was at. And I really liked how well her voice matured as season 2 and 3 went on. How she sounded her age, and she sounded, you know, like an actual teenager, but she sounded evil, and she sounded really devious, and I really like that about her. Yeah, I just think she's great, and yeah, I think she is a great voice for Icy. And now, moving on to the number 1 spot for Icy.
Well, did you find her? That would be wasteful.
Why are you always...
Well, look who's back. Let's give her a cold welcome. You hollered, my lord. It's not looking good for you and your love interest. Later, goody-goody.
Soon we'll rip their weak little fairy wings right off their body. Worry, we're your girls. Next stop, Pixie Village.
Who cares? They're gone. Try to contain your excitement, Selena.
Alright, number 1, we have Larissa Olynyk, who voiced her in the Nick dub, who also voiced her for the longest. And I love her as Icy. The high-pitched voice, for some reason, really fits Icy for some reason. And I love how she kind of slurs her words a little bit, or like exaggerates the words. I think that's a very evil kind of seductive thing to do, which Icy, it really goes well for Icy. And she just sounds really evil, while she's also really good at doing the emotional moments, like in season 5 when, you know, Tritanus broke her heart and she, you know, missed Darcy and Stormy. I think she did really well during those moments, and especially her voice also progressed really well. Like in the specials, she sounded a lot more like a student and a teenager, and as it went by, she got more and more like evil sounding, which I really, really liked. And I think she's just absolutely perfect for Icy, and yeah, I just think she's a great voice. And that concludes Icy's ranking, and now I'm going to be moving on to the second Trix, which is Darcy.
But are we sure it isn't dangerous? The Winx find out that we're thrown of the infinite ocean remains without a ruler, and pollution upsets its balance.
Alright, so number 6 for Darcy is Becca Ordonez Zagarin, which she also voiced Stella in the movies, and I think she does a way better job at Stella, because what is this? Like, she made Darcy sound like a dumb, blonde kind of character. And that does not, like, Darcy is supposed to be the most, like, sinister and mysterious out of all the Trix, and that just didn't sell it at all. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, no hate to Becca. I think she's a great actress. She did great as Stella. But, like, I don't know what they were thinking casting her as Darcy, because it just... I mean, Mystery of the Abyss is a terrible movie on its own, but that just made it, like, 10 times worse. I'm sorry. It's one of, like, the worst decisions they made for voice acting and Winx, and English Winx dubs, like, ever. It just doesn't sound like Darcy, and it's just not great. Okay. But now moving on to number 5.
Oh, Stella, did you miss me?
Of course, come on!
The negative and the positive. Ow! It burned me! Are you sure about this? It's a very powerful spell and
Alright, number 5 is Erin Fitzgerald, who voiced Darcy in Magical Adventure. Now, Erin Fitzgerald is a great voice actress. She voiced a couple Monster High characters like Abby and Spectra, which she did great as. I think it was her. If it isn't, just tell me in the comments. I'm pretty sure it was her. But as Darcy, it's not my favorite. It's definitely better than Mystery of the Abyss. But they kind of did the same thing where they made Darcy kind of... high-pitched voices don't really fit Darcy that well, or at all. And she just kind of sounded like, you know, just kind of a mean girl, which... I know the Trix were kind of mean girls in, like, season 1, but at that point in Magical Adventure, they were full-on, like, evil villains. And it just didn't fit that whole vibe at all. And it just wasn't... I mean, it's better than Mystery of the Abyss. I think anything is better than that. But it just isn't my favorite. Now moving on to number 4.
Go, Kimmy.
Is our chance, Icy? Let's get out of here!
Alright, number 4 is Lori Gardner, who voiced Darcy in season 7 and 8. Now, it's not bad, but it's not, like, good either. I just don't think it fit Darcy that well. Again, she's not horrible. It's just, she doesn't really stand out that well. And, again, her voice is more on the higher side, which doesn't fit Darcy super well. And, yeah, it's just not really my favorite. There isn't really much to say about her, but... yeah, now moving on to number 3.
Stop showing off, Stormy. If you keep on doing that, you'll set the whole forest on fire.
Still, Master, Musa's new friend has such potential. You can talk to us.
Alright, number 3 is Carrie Finley from the Cinelune dub for seasons 1 through 3. And, again, kind of like Lori Gardner, she isn't bad, but she isn't, like, great either. I think her voice is just kind of average. It doesn't really stand out as the character that Darcy is. I think she definitely did a lot better in seasons 2 and 3 than in season 1. But she just is not my favorite. And I know that I, like, praise the Cinelune dub so much. But, like, yeah, it's pretty good. Like, don't get me wrong, there were times where she did really, really good as Darcy. Especially with the whole Riven trope, I feel like, for some reason. But, you know, other than that, I just feel like she just isn't my favorite. Yeah, now moving on to number 2.
I can call you babe, can't I? Because, I mean, you are the hottest guy at Red Let's get the codex first, then we can play all we want. Icy's your girl.
Alright, so number 2 is Karen Manuel from the 4Kids dub. And kind of similar to the movies, she also voiced Stella in the 4Kids dub. But I definitely think her voice fits better for Darcy than Stella. The only problem I have with her voice is that it sounds a little bit too old for being a 17-year-old in season 1. But other than that, I think she did really, really good as Darcy. I think she got the sinister, kind of mysterious darkness vibe that Darcy has. And, you know, I think that 4Kids did really well with the Trix, and I don't praise the 4Kids dub much, so that's saying a lot. Yeah, I just think that she was a really good fit for Darcy, and I don't really, like, hear a lot of people praise not Carrie Finley, Karen Manuel as Darcy, but I think she's really good. And now moving on to the number 1 spot.
Sisters, we're being watched. I've been thinking about you, Riven. Your talent, your ambition, your courage are wasted with the specialists. I know you want more. My sisters and I can make you power.
Well, you'll be sorry you ran out on us. We're gonna take Red Fountain down to the
Go away! Ugh. They were driving me crazy. Very tan. Did the sunbath work?
Darkness is rising.
Oh, if I hear that together thing one more time, I'm gonna hurl.
Beats me. These guys are weird.
Alright, number 1 is Jennifer Cody from the Nick dub, who voiced her the longest. And Nick just did a fantastic job with voicing the Trix, and Darcy's obviously no exception. She did phenomenal as Darcy. Like, she, you know, sounds very natural, but at the same time sounds like an evil, like, dark witch, which I love. And she sounds scary. Like, she's one of the few voice actresses for the Trix that genuinely sound terrifying, and I think that's a really good quality to have, especially when presumably the Trix are supposed to be more powerful as each season goes on, but we know that isn't really true. But I think that just really fits that, and I just really, really like her. And I, especially in the Nick dubs, I feel like the specials, I feel like, I meant the early specials, like the specials 1 through 4, I feel like a lot of the voice actors and actresses sounded a lot more natural and a lot more like teenagers, which I really, really liked, and Darcy's no exception to that. But yeah, that concludes Darcy's voice rankings, and now moving on to Stormy.
I can't wait to destroy Bloom. Valtor would be so proud of us.
They're fun to mess with. Attention, everyone. Valtor said to mix your Jell-O with your mashed potatoes.
Books really have that much power?
Yeah.
Alright, so number 6 for Stormy is Anika Turn, who voiced her in Season 3 of the Cinelume dub, and I praise the Cinelume dub a lot. I think they make a lot of really good choices when it comes to casting, but this was not it. Like, I understand that it was they kind of had to, because the voice actress who, her previous voice actress who also voiced Musa left, and they had to replace both Stormy and Musa. But like, they could have chose a different actress. Like, it's just for reference, Anika Turn in the Cinelume dub of Winx voices primarily Musa and Vanessa. Nice characters, friendly characters, good people, which Stormy isn't, and it doesn't fit her in the slightest. And I feel like the voicing directors really made Anika kind of push her voice, if that makes sense, and it just does not sound good in the slightest. And it just it's no. But now moving on to number 5.
We can't let them get away with it. You think we're afraid of you?
Alright, number 5 is Sarah McCullough, who voiced her in seasons 1 and 2, and she shares a voice of Musa, same with season 3. And, you know, it's not that she's a bad actress. Like, I think Sarah McCullough did a really, really good job as Musa. She's actually my second favorite Musa voice actress. But the thing is, she didn't really change her voice for Stormy that much, which made it really confusing, especially that battle that Stormy and Musa had in season 2. She just didn't change her voice, and it makes Stormy sound really nice and not scary or evil at all. And it just, I mean, it's better than Anika Turn, but that's not saying much, and it's just not that good. I feel like if Sarah McCullough didn't voice Musa, I feel like she might maybe be a little higher on the list. Probably not, but I probably wouldn't mind her as much as Stormy if she also didn't do the exact same voice for Musa. But yeah, now moving on to number 3, I believe.
I can feel its power just running through me.
The perfect moment to become Empress.
Sorry, it was number 4. Number 4 is Reba Burr, who voiced her in Magical Adventure and Mystery of the Abyss. She doesn't really, I don't remember that well, but she doesn't really talk that much in Magical Adventure, and Mystery of the Abyss I've only seen once because I hate that movie. So I can't really remember too much about her voicing Stormy, but it's kind of average. It isn't amazing, but it's not terrible either. She definitely has the aggression that Stormy has, but I feel like, I don't know, it's just average, I guess. Not really much to say about her. Now we're actually going to move on to number 3.
Destroy everything, Ocula! Let the Winx fight that monster.
Alright, number 3 is Zoe Martin, who voiced her in season 7 and 8. And I really like her as Stormy, actually. She's one of, like, the only voice actresses who I mean, the only voice actress for the Trix in those seasons. That kind of made sense. She definitely has Stormy's aggression in her voice, and she definitely has her impulsivity and her anger in her voice, which I really like. But then again, in season 7 and 8, like, you can't really get that good with those seasons. But yeah, I think she's pretty good. It's just not my favorite, obviously. Now moving on to number 2.
Says this is magic. We can't stop now.
Bloom.
Give us detention?
No, but I...
Hey, if you want to call that art, Darth.
What next?
Sunset and plant it? Just how do you expect us to do that? Yeah, let's see what you can do with your attack spells.
Number 2 is Kimberly Brooks, who voiced her in the Nick dub and voiced her the longest. And her voice, honestly, isn't that different from Zoe Martin, but I think I really like her because she sounds kind of aggressive, but it sounds natural, and she sounds like a teenager, and I just really, really like her. I kind of debated putting her at number 1, but there's one person I liked better, obviously, and we'll get to that in a second, but I just think, that she's a great voice for Stormy, especially as the Trix have gotten older. I think she voices really well in the later seasons, like season 5 and 6. Yeah, she's great. And now moving on to number 1.
You falling in love, Darcy?
That is
doing the kicking this. What's the difference?
Alright, number 1 is Susie Myers from the 4Kids dub, and I never thought I would see the day where I put a 4Kids actress at number 1, but today's the day, I guess. Susie Myers does an amazing job as Stormy. She gives Stormy so much personality that I feel like the other dubs didn't do as well, and she definitely has the voice aggression. She does the voice aggression really well, because Stormy, she's very aggressive, she's very angry, I just kind of think of her as like a little fiery sprite. And Susie Myers does it really well, especially with being the youngest witch, because she's 16 and Darcy's 17 and Icy is 18. So I know they're not supposedly not actually sisters, but nonetheless she is the youngest. Which I think that she does a really good job at portraying the kind of brattiness that she has too, which I love. And yeah, that concludes Stormy's ranking as well, and that actually concludes our video. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please let me know your opinions in the comments. I would love to hear them. And please subscribe, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. My usernames are in the description. And I will see you guys in the next video where I'm going to be ranking some of the specialist voice actors. So see you then.